Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. So much going on. Spring football wrapping up at the Wyatt, continues at the U. The Jazz lose. The Mammoth win a thriller in overtime. Come from behind 3 times to beat Edmonton 6-5 in OT. Great game. And the Masters is getting underway. It's that time of year. Everything's coming together. Let's start with the Masters. Brian Taylor is there. He joined PK and I late in yesterday's show. We got the draft coming up with Bob Casper later today. Here's Brian Taylor with PK and I with Brian at Augusta. Is this just an annual vacation for you? Is this the kind of thing you're just counting down for weeks, months before you take off for Augusta?
I think everybody counts it down. This is my 25th time coming here to Augusta, and that's hard to believe, first of all. Just means I'm getting old. But it's still, you know what, it's still exciting. That's the thing, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, is whether it's your first time or your 25th time or your 50th time, I think people still get super excited to come back here. There's we've talked about this for years, DJ, but there's a lot of things in life, and few actually live up to the hype or exceed it. And Augusta's one of those, and they just do such a good job. It's, you show up here and everybody just feels like it's the coolest thing that they've ever experienced. And it's unique, you don't have cell phones, you don't have, electronic scoreboards, you don't have, big screen televisions everywhere. You literally are in your environment. It's a unique thing to society today, with, you have to sit and look around and think. You can't just at the first moment's notice, you just start scrolling on your phone because you have a downtime for a second, right? It's just a whole different feel and a different vibe. And I think people are starting to appreciate that more as we continually get locked into our electronic devices. It's interesting.
Did you see the little interaction that Brooks Koepka had with the media guy?
No, I missed that.
Oh, he asked him, the question was, do you think that somebody can shoot a 59 here? And Koepka fired back, have you played the course? and I thought the media member said, he should have said, no, and neither do I live in a multi-million-dollar house. Which would have been a good response. Of course I haven't played it, but he's talking about the idea of being, man, if you shot a 63, that would be incredible. And most of our listeners, I would think the overwhelming majority, have never been there, have never played it, have never walked it. But you have. So you can speak to why did Koepka think that was he was incredulous that somebody would potentially shoot a 59. He said maybe from the members' tees, but not from where these guys are teeing off. And why is that?
Yeah, I think that's just a context thing, right? It probably sounds ludicrous to ask somebody like Brooks Koepka in this setting at the Masters, but I overheard a conversation earlier this week where somebody was explaining, in the media dining, somebody was explaining to somebody else what par meant. So my ears perked up. I was like, really? I'm like, we're discussing what par means. So, look, there's varying levels of media that ascend. This is one of the largest events in the world, and I think you get different people that show up here from different media, whatever. Or it could have just been, I didn't see the interaction, could have just been looking for some sort of sensational reaction, what sounds like he got. But John Rahm was just in the interview room and had a chance to listen to him, and he got several questions about the strategic, approach to the golf course and what makes it so difficult, and amen corner and all this different stuff. And, you hear him talk about it, and it just reminds you that like we look at it and say, okay, it's a par 5 that a lot of people eagle. Let's look at 13, for instance. He started describing it, but he goes, it's important. You obviously want to hit a big draw around the corner and get yourself in position to go with that green. But if you get it too far down, what you don't see is that those tall pine trees still their branches overhang enough to where you still have to hit a slinging hook over Rays Creek into a sort of a narrow green from that angle. So he said and oftentimes you're in sort of a side hill, downhill lie. So it's a very difficult shot. And the other comment he made is people always talk about Augusta National being so wide and wide open, but when you get out here and realize that there's certain areas in which you have to position your tee shot in order to be able to have an optimum shot in, it becomes very narrow. And so just to listen to all of that, he also talked about how, he rarely flag hunts. Typically if you want to get close to a pin, you're aiming some other spot, and using the slope and, all these type of things to be able to get the ball close to the hole. And so the nuances that are involved, and then the fact that it's the same golf course, but it doesn't always play the same way. He talked about the firmness of the greens. He talked about the wind and how it swirls through these trees and, all of those things. And so it was pretty cool, right? I did a bunch of study on scoring average, and you think about through 100 rounds, Tiger Woods, 100 rounds here at Augusta. What would you say Tiger's scoring average is, for instance? I mean, what would your thoughts be? Just throw a number out there.
69.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just
number. I was going to say, I don't want to say 70.
Yeah, it's like 71, right? And just under 71. So he's just barely a shot under par through 100 rounds. And you just think, Tiger would be in the 60s for sure. That's not the case. It's just so even though Augusta gets a lot of, sometimes criticism, can stand the test of time, today's equipment, better athletes, all that kind of stuff, you're still seeing the best scoring averages barely a shot under par. And it's pretty cool.
It seems like the tour just constantly reinvents itself. There's always some youngster in the mid-20s. They don't have all the experience to handle all this nuance at Augusta. But, man, they've been the best players on tour here early in the year, and some guys who are veterans are further down the money list. Would you go with guys who are hot right now, or do you think that all that course knowledge you're talking about, hey, somebody's going to do well this week who may not be having a great, California or Florida swing, but it's Augusta, and the new guys are going to take their lumps?
Yeah, it's interesting. So this is the 40th anniversary of Jack Nicklaus's, historic win in 1986 at the age of 46. And he got his record green jacket that year. So there's a lot of talk about Jack and so you start to think, well, history often lines itself up around here. Might we see a 45-year-old, win, again, here? And you start thinking about Justin Rose, of course, who's, lost in the playoff twice, including last year. And then, of course, we remember Fuzzy Zoeller, who passed away this past year. And he was the last player to win in his first attempt back in 1979. So then you say, well, with that, and Fuzzy's passing, might a first-timer, come through and win for the first time since Fuzzy. And, so you start thinking of all those. And when we ran those scenarios, and almost every person says, I take the 45-year-old. It's more likely, even though, Jack was 46 40 years ago, just feels like, that's probably more likely given the experience required and that sort of thing. Having said all that, my pick's Ludwig Oberg. He's played 2 Masters. He finished runner-up in his first attempt, finished 7th last year. I mean, he's this guy, he's been in position. Yeah, he didn't finish well at the Players' Championship, but, he was in contention there playing in the final group. He was in contention last week. I just think Oberg, and when you see him, he's like such a, you can accuse me of having a man crush on Oberg. That's fine. But the guy is like unbelievable. How could you not want to come back as that guy, right? I mean, he's like 6'2", he hits the ball a mile. He's like he's unbelievable. You would think if you were just betting ponies and you lined Scheffler up and you lined Oberg up, you're probably going to put your money on Oberg, just looking at the two guys, right? And so I don't know. I like his game, and he just doesn't seem to be too fazed by much, and you kind of need that around here. And so I could see that. I could see a younger guy, a first-timer. I don't know. I mean, Jacob Bridgman is a heck of a putter, and you look at Goddard, he's the only 2-time winner, multiple-time winner this year, right? This is his first time. It's Jacob's first time, and I just think it's an eyes-wide-open kind of experience for a lot of these guys out here.
Are they doing anything for Faldo because it's the 30th year of his last of 3 Masters that he won?
It's one of the things, you know what's interesting is I walked into they have a press locker room, and I walked down in there, and I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm seeing a newspaper, and there's all these like old newspapers articles, like front page, blown up, on a frame and everything, and there's Danny Willett, and it's been 10 years since Danny Willett won, and then there's a thing on Faldo, and I'm like, look at that. I mean, there's the thing on Jack, there's all this stuff, right? So they do that. And I asked the attendant, I go, they check this is new, right? They change these? It goes, yeah, they change them out every year. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna start. You'll see that those little milestones are featured around the golf course during the milestone years, like Faldo in '96, and that kind of thing. It's also, interestingly enough, going through those numbers, is it's been 25 years since Tiger completed the Tiger Slam here at Augusta National. So pretty good, by the way. He did have Valhalla in there, which is no shade on Valhalla. But when your slam includes obviously Augusta and then St. Andrews and Pebble Beach, that's a pretty dang good slam, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I don't know there could be a bad one.
Right? Well, that's true. But if you're going to win it, I mean, why not have Augusta, Pebble, and St. Andrews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they changed anything there this year? Yeah, some years it seems like that's a big storyline. Some years it's not.
Yeah, so they've lengthened 17, I think about 10 yards is all. So not much. Some big changes a few years ago with 13, obviously getting lengthened, that par 5 and stuff. But no major changes this year to the golf course. One of the things that I'm staring out from my little radio perch here from the far end of the range, looking down the range, right behind the grandstands, which are positioned to watch the players practice, is the new Player Performance Center, which they built, just literally from last Masters to this Masters. And this is a place where the players and their families can hang out. There's physio in there. There's restaurant food. There's a locker room. And so it's phenomenal, like state-of-the-art, unbelievable. And you know what? Everybody would give that up in a moment to go to that old little place in the old clubhouse called the Champions Locker Room. But yeah, those are some of the new things that for this year.
What's on the menu at the Champions Dinner? Do you know?
Oh man, it's the best menu I think I've ever seen. First of all, how about this starter? Peach and what was the cheese? Some sort of cheese flatbread. And I'm like, okay, you had me at that, right? And then the one that everyone gets hung up on is bacon-wrapped dates. And people are going, yeah, I'm not a date guy. No, but think about it. You've ever had like a burger with bacon jam on it? You're basically creating the bacon jam as you bite it. Like, that is what it is. Dates are sweet. You got the bacon on there. I think it's got some goat cheese wrapped in with it. I mean, I'm like, this is brilliant, right? And then he's got this either a salmon fillet or a Wagyu steak fillet. And then, you ready? Kicking it off dessert, sticky toffee pudding. I was in Scotland last year, and there's not a lot to brag about as far as sweets go in Scotland, but the sticky toffee pudding, it's homemade everywhere you go. It's unbelievable stuff. And, yeah, I think this might be one of the best menus I've ever seen. Terrific.
It's a peach and ricotta flatbread with
there
balsamic, hot honey, and basil. Ooh.
Let's go.
Have you ever
I'm going to try to recreate that on the – yeah.
Have you ever had grilled elk sliders before?
That one would be probably the one I'd pass on. Not everybody but me.
Caramelized onion jam. Okay, there's 3 words I've never put together in my life before. Caramelized onion jam.
Sounds amazing. Put that on anything, it'll be good.
All right, there's Brian Taylor talking Masters, and we will talk with Bob Casper coming up at 8 o'clock. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the Jazz get beat and the Mammoth prevail. Stay with us.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar Plant Protein Bars. to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Good morning, DJ and PK. A reminder, the KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, kslsports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. All right, the Utah Jazz, 3 games. Well, now only 2 to go. They lost to New Orleans. What went wrong in the second half? Or, you know, if you're into the tanking, what went right? Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz lost last night to the Pelicans, 156-137. The Jazz gave up 95 points to the Pelicans in the second half. The Jazz were led in the loss by Kennedy Chandler, who had a career-high 31 points, 11 of 18 shooting for him. Bez Mbang had a career-high 26 points on 12 of 18 shooting. And John Conchar had a triple-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. But the Jazz, not great on the defensive end. Jeremiah Fierce for the Pelicans had a career-high 40 points. Jordan Poole added 34. Let's get to the post-game sound of Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
42 transition points, 90 in the paint. They had 18 transition points in the third quarter alone. So, I think the guys are fighting hard. But I think a lot of the schedule and the fatigue caught up with us tonight. John had a triple-double. That's good news. John's a really good all-around player. Does it in a lot of different ways. He's so unselfish with just how he approaches the game. Does dirty work, guards, cuts, rebounds, forces turnovers. Obviously 10 assists tonight is a great number for him. He's an unselfish player in a lot of ways. It's a heck of a game by him.
There's Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's get some player sound for you and hear from Bez Mbang.
Bez, a career night tonight, 26 points, and I believe you played 48 minutes out there. Can you describe your game tonight?
Of course, we wanted to come out with the win, but it was just nice to compete out there with my team for another game. Of course, 48 minutes is a lot, but you don't get the opportunity a lot. So, I was tired at times out there, but, just a great opportunity to go out there and showcase my skills another night. Just a great opportunity. That's how I'll describe it.
How do you push through in moments when you are feeling tired playing that type of minutes?
You got to find something. I think at that point it just comes down to how bad do you want it. Like, you got to push through. Like, everybody gets fatigued out there at times. We played, and a lot of guys in this league, we've all played a lot of basketball. So I think you try to find something within you that just gives you the extra bit of fuel. I think a lot of guys find that often. I don't really know what it is, but you just got to dig down.
How would you say you're starting to kind of find your groove and rhythm when you're out on the court now with the Jazz?
I think it's credit to the coaches and my teammates. I just learning the system more, learning how to play with them. I think that's the biggest thing, just learning how to get my teammates open, get them better, and then get me easy opportunities, defend hard, just give effort. As I continue to learn my teammates, learn my coaches, learn the system, I think, I continue to show a little bit more of what I could do. So it was, like I said, it was another great opportunity to do that on the floor tonight with the team. It was amazing.
That's Bez Mbang, 26 points, career high for him, 12 of 18 shooting. Let's now hear from Kennedy Chandler.
Just my energy, coming off the bench, trying to bring as much intensity, energy I can off the bench, and using my speed and my athleticism, and that's what got me going.
You told me before this road trip you're excited to just hit the road and play the teams that you did. And now that that's over, what does that feel like to just get all of this under your belt, this experience?
Great experience. Just being on the road, getting the NBA experience, traveling, legs tired. just a good feeling, just being out here on the court. We still got 2 more games, so want to finish out strong, get healthy, recovery. Banged up a little bit, but just want to get as much recovery I can before the game on Friday.
I know we kind of talked about your role as a point guard, but where does your confidence come from when you're able to just kind of facilitate out there with guys that you haven't really played for that long?
Those guys give me the confidence because they be ready to shoot, be ready for the kickouts that I draw some attention to paint, that I spray out. Those guys be ready to either catch and drive or catch and shoot. So I've been doing it all year, just not on the NBA court. I've been doing the G League, so just taking it from what I did in the G League to the NBA.
Last question to play Memphis next. Do you still know a lot of the different players and staff who are on that team, or what's it going to be like to play against them on Friday?
Yeah, I know a couple of staff people that were still there. Looking forward to seeing them, speaking with them, and it's been a little minute. Being with those guys or some of the players, if those players travel, so it'd be a good experience for me to be able to see everybody and just another game ahead of us.
That's Kennedy Chandler, 31 points, but the Jazz come up short against the Pelicans. They lose 156-137. Final home game of the season coming your way. On Friday night, the Jazz will be in action taking on the Grizzlies. Tip-off will be at 7:30. Pregame, 6:30.
There's the best of the postgame show as the Jazz lose to the Pelicans. Now let's pivot to the Utah Mammoth at home against the Edmonton Oilers, a team they could very easily meet in the first round of the playoffs. Thrilling game as they were down 3-1 at the end of one period. They were down 4-3 late in the second, 5-4 in the third, and they come back and win 6-5 in overtime. Great game. Let's get to the best of the Mammoth postgame show.
DJ and PK, the Utah Mammoth, for the first time ever, defeated the Edmonton Oilers 6-5 in overtime on Tuesday night at the Delta Center on what could potentially be a first-round playoff matchup for Utah. In fact, if the playoffs started today, it would be the Mammoth and Edmonton. And Utah, with 6 games left in the regular season, coming from behind 3 times on Tuesday night to get a big victory against Edmonton. Their 41st of the year. Their magic number is now 6. Again, Utah could officially clinch a playoff berth coming up within the next couple of days. They got the scoring started early in this one, 1:53 into the first. J.J. Peterka, his 24th.
Back door, they score! J.J. Peterka found a sliver of daylight.
But 11 seconds later, Edmonton tied it, and before you knew it, they had a 3-1 lead. Mammoth, though, able to get things back under control, and head coach Andre Tourney says this goal right here from Nick Schmaltz was a real pivotal point in getting the Utah comeback started on the way to victory.
Keller in front, they score! Nick Schmaltz finds the back of the net, and Utah is back within 1.
Less than 5 minutes later, Logan Cooley's 23rd tied it up.
This way, one-timer Cooley, and he scores! Logan Cooley is scalding hot!
But just 47 seconds after that, Edmonton once again responding quickly after a Utah goal. They made it 4-3. Nick Schmaltz, though, short-handed, tied us up going to the second intermission.
Schmaltz fires, scores! Tied again! Nick Schmaltz has 30!
Edmonton came out in the third, got the lead back. Alexander Kerfoot, though, with 7:04 left to go in regulation, tipped home a Sean Dursey shot, tied it up at 5.
Dursey swings it towards the net, and they score! Put another one in the tip jar for Alexander Kerfoot.
And then Clayton Keller on the power play in overtime sends the fans home happy with his 26th of the year.
Sergachev this way for Keller. Right dot, he shoots and scores! Captain on deck! A 6-5 overtime win for the Utah Mammoth!
So a big victory for Utah over Edmonton. Again, they had never defeated them before. 2 weeks ago, Tuesday, they fell 5-2 to the Oilers, but they were able to will their way through this one to win their 4th straight contest. And with 5 games left, Mammoth starting to look pretty good. Is it perfect? No, but they're banking points banking wins headed towards the playoffs. Let's hear from Nick Schmaltz, who in the contest got his 29th and 30th goals of the season.
You, other leaders, everyone stepped up tonight. What did it take for this group to get this win over the Edmonton Oilers?
Yeah, it was a fun game. Got down early. I thought we were still playing well even after the first period. I thought we, just gave them some looks that they capitalized on, and we stuck with it all game. And just we had a feeling that we were going to come back. So great win. It was fun to be a part of. It was a great atmosphere out there.
This group talked about wanting to win at home. Describe to us that atmosphere that you experienced tonight.
Yeah, we want it to be tough to play here. I mean, it's super loud. It's a fun environment to be a part of. So glad we get that win for the fans, and hopefully we can continue that down the stretch here.
Can you describe the level of intensity when it came to the actual game itself in this match?
Yeah, it was pretty high. I mean, kind of know where we stand and where they stand. These points are so valuable, and we want to get that X-Buyer name as fast as we can. So we're doing everything we can, and we're battling every night. And 2 points is huge, especially against that team.
And going into the second intermission, obviously your goal with less than a minute left. Can you walk me through what went through your head? Obviously a big one for the crowd too. Yeah, it was huge. Johnny made a great play. They were kind of at the end of the power play, so I knew they were tired, so I just tried to take off, and I like to shoot low gloves, so fortunate to win in.
Schmaltz's second goal in the game was a shorthanded goal for Utah, the team's 8th of the year. They entered the night 8th in the NHL in shorthanded goals. Another big night from the captain, Clayton Keller, as he now has 11 points in the last 5 games, sending the fans home happy. His 6th-game winner of the year and his 4th in overtime.
You get that win against the Edmonton Oilers tonight.
Yeah, I think we stuck with it all game. Obviously being down 3-1, and I still feel like we were playing good hockey. A couple of bounces here and there, but just part of the way that we stuck with it. We had a big push in the third. We were playing our style of hockey, and we get the goal there, and then we keep pressing. We don't kind of sit back and back up. So it's a good step in the right direction, and still got some games left. So it's a huge win though.
Well, your line mates just hit 30 goals for the first time in his career. What have you seen out of Nick Schmaltz's effort, his hard work, everything that he's done this season?
Yeah, you guys know I think the world of him and him as a player and person, and just so gifted, fast, skilled, thinks the game at such a high level, and has such a good stick. Like there's so many things about his game that people don't recognize or truly appreciate as much as all of us do in this room, and just how good he is. So that's huge for him for sure. He's got that sneaky little wrister, and he's good and tight. He's got good hands. So it's great to see him get that, and I don't think that's the ceiling for him, honestly.
You guys were able to crawl back from 3 different deficits. What about the ability to do that separates elite level teams in this league from the ones that don't make playoffs?
Yeah, I think just pressing when we were down, and still felt like we had lots of confidence all game. We never had that that span of being down on ourselves or whatever it may be. We just kept rolling it over and trusting that it would turn, and I think that's something that we've gotten better at as the years gone on. So good on us, I guess.
And head coach Andre Tourigny happy with his group's effort. His key word on this one, resilience, as they erased 3 deficits, including a 2-goal deficit. And they won a game that they led for only 11 seconds in.
Are you not entertained? That's entertaining game. The highlight for me, it's how resilient we were. I think we were playing well. They took the lead. That stuff happened, but it was 3-1, and never felt our guys' confidence went away or stress. They were just resilient. They stayed on it. They knew we were playing well. Obviously, they're a good team on the other side, so they had some moment in the second, but even then, I didn't feel we got out of where we had to be mentally, physically in our game. Really proud of the way we stayed with it, and obviously the second goal, I think, is the whole big goal when you win in overtime. But I think the second goal got us in the groove a little bit, and then we tied the game. They scored 4-3. We came back. I really think it's huge character the boys stayed in the present. They stayed on it. They were really resilient. Really proud of them.
Cooley and Schmaltz are both on 5-game point streaks. Schmaltz hit 30 goals for the first time in his career. What have you seen, especially as of late, out of their offensive game to consistently be on the score sheet and the little details they do that aren't on the score sheet?
Well, okay, first, those two guys, those two lines share McDavid all night long. I think they did a really good job. I think that is, without them doing such a good job on both sides of the puck, they score, both of them, but they as well played really well against 97. So I think they play complete game, and I will start with Schmaltzy. Schmaltzy always at his best when he has that awareness, that urgency in his game. When he has that, as much as he wants to produce offensively, he's elite defensively, just because he's at the right place. And that lead to offense for him, and that lead to production. So was good on face-off as well, so did a good job. Cooley, think did a really good job. Made him one mistake in the second puck management. He reacted like a real pro. He knew it. Did not repeat it. In overtime, didn't want somebody who can skate with McDavid, and he had the fire in his eyes. And, I got this. I said, hey, you don't take shit. He said, don't worry. He didn't even want to hear me. He was kind of just put me out there and don't worry. And he drew the penalty, and we scored on that. So proud of the young guy.
So now 5 games left in the regular season, starting Thursday night against the Nashville Predators. We'll have it for you on the radio on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Hockey night in Utah starts at 6. Of course, Mike Folta and I will recap it all. Our final thoughts, we'll hear from President of Revenue and Commercial Strategy, Chris Barney, on the all-new Mammoth, the Mammoth Zamboni. You got to see it to believe it. We'll have it on Mammoth Daily, on the Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus and SCG Plus, and the audio version on Apple and Spotify. If you haven't seen the Mammoth, it was unveiled on Tuesday. You can check it out on Mammoth social media as well. So a fun day coming up on Mammoth Daily, wherever you get your podcast. DJ and PK, have a good rest of your Wednesday, and we'll be back Friday morning to recap what we think will be the 5th straight win for Utah.
All right, there's the Best of the Mammoth postgame show. We'll take a break, and then we'll go to BYU. Aaron Roderick, what did he learn during spring practice? We'll hear from the BYU offensive coordinator next.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and 0 weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. All right, BYU spring practice. What has Aaron Roderick learned about the Cougar offense? Here's the Cougars' longtime OC, Aaron Roderick, with the media.
We've had a good spring. I think improvement all around. It's been nice to have Bear. Bear's first spring. He got here so late last year that I think we've been able to make some really great progress with him and develop the other quarterbacks as well. We've seen big improvement with Trayson Bourget and Enoch Watson. I think we're developing depth at every position, like all the new guys. And we have a lot of veteran players that played a lot of football too. So I think we're going to have depth at every position, and I think we have a good football team.
Perfect. Our first question will be from Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Aaron, just wanted to start off asking you, the wide receiver position has got a lot of names there with not a ton of production at the Power 4 level. What's your confidence level coming out of spring that they'll be able to contribute across the board?
We're going to be good there. Yeah, saw a big step forward in JoJo this spring. I think I mentioned a couple times this spring, just how tough that injury was that he dealt with last year. Without getting into too much detail, it was a pretty gnarly injury, and he was out for, I think it was about 12 weeks in between when he injured it and when he played again, and then when he did play again, it was one of those deals that really sets you back with your confidence to just cut it loose, and it affects you catching the ball, it affects you blocking, taking hits, everything. It just took him a little time, and then I thought in that bowl game, he showed us, that's kind of the JoJo we were expecting. And this spring, he kind of picked up where he left off in that bowl game. And then Kyler Casper's done a great job. He's been everything I hoped he would be. He's going to be a very good player for us. And Legend Glasker's doing a nice job. I've seen improvement in Tiger. I've seen improvement in Tay. Reggie Frischneck. All those guys have all gotten better. So now it's just a matter of fall camp, just seeing who emerges, even more. Cody Hagan, he's another one that played a lot for us last year. So somebody always steps up. That's what happens. And I can't tell you exactly who it'll be yet, but those guys will step up.
I also wanted to ask you about offensive line. Do you feel like you've settled on a core group of guys? I know you brought up a bunch of transfer, well, not a number, but 3 guys from the transfer portal.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say exactly who that starting 5 is, but we have more than 5, so that gives me a lot of confidence. Just like last year, we had more than 5. I think we played 8 guys all year, and we have more than 5 that can play, so we're going to be fine there.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Yeah, Aaron, I'm curious, last year, the last couple of years, you talked about, how helpful it was with Matt Mitchell, bringing Tyler Hughes now. How maybe the chemistry between you two and your vision of the quarterback position, what he's brought to the offensive staff?
Yeah, it's been really smooth transition. Matt did a great job. We're really thankful for everything he did. Matt and I had a great relationship, and Tyler and I have kind of picked up right where Matt and I left off. I think Coach Hughes has got a lot of experience. He's brought I think a fresh viewpoint on a few things for us. It's been kind of fun to learn some things. Every time you add a coach to your staff, you have a chance to learn some things about other places they've been. So, when we added TJ Woods, for example, he brings some things that, he's been a bunch of places, and he brings a few things and experiences to the table to share. Kevin Gilbride brought some things that, from his background too. And so all of us are all just trying to get better all the time, the same way we ask our players to. And so each time we add a new coach to our staff, everybody, has an open mind about a fresh perspective. And so I think Coach Hughes has done that with our coaching staff and also with our quarterbacks, and he's doing an outstanding job so far.
And to follow up, you're entering year 9 with the coaching staff, working with Kalani Sitake here at BYU. Just maybe speak to just how much you're enjoying your role in working with Kalani after his extension, and just how much you enjoy being here now at year 9 in the program.
Yeah, I can't believe it's year 9 already. And, Kalani is the reason that I'm here 9 years in. I mean, he's such a great person to work for. He's a great human being. Kalani treats everyone with so much love and respect. The guy that's vacuuming the hallway late at night, or the guy that's driving the bus, he treats that guy the same as he would Brian Santiago or our starting quarterback. And I love working for him, and that's why I'm still here.
Next question from Jay Drew.
Yeah, I got a couple, so I'll try to move quickly. Aaron, what advice or what instruction have you given to Bear as you move into the offseason that you would like to see him work on?
You mean now that we're done with spring, like what's next?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to continue, first of all, physical development. This is his first true college offseason, so we're really trying to refine how he takes care of himself, off the field. Just, I think he's learning about nutrition. He's learning about how important sleep is. He's learning just how to take care of his body on a day-to-day basis. We're trying to get him a little bit leaner, but we don't want to lose a ton of weight. We're trying to be a little bit leaner, just a little bit more fit this year, so he can, withstand the grueling season. We don't want to get him hit as much as we did last year in the run game, but we want to prepare his body for a 14, 15, 16 game season, whatever it ends up being. But so I think that's the number one thing right now is just physical development, and then continuing to refine just all the little details. There's so many things that when you get here late June last year like you did, it was a process just getting the offense installed, and Bear's super smart, but now this year we can really refine a lot of those details, whether it's scheme details or sometimes it's just details between two players. For example, he had some chemistry last year with a couple of our players, Carson Ryan in particular, where it was almost like they could read each other's minds, and they couldn't read each other's minds, but they had just tons of reps together and film study together and conversations about, well, if this coverage does this, then you're going to do that. And those things, it just takes time. And so we're in the process of working through those now with our players and Bear. And I think those are some things that there was no chance to work on those last summer. This summer we can.
Did you guys scrimmage today? And if so, how did it go for the offense?
It was sort of, we haven't scrimmaged at all this spring, like live tackle. We haven't done any tackling. It's all just been, the defense tags us and we're down. So, it's kind of fake football a little bit in that regard. I think we've had some days where we've had a lot of success, and our defense has had some good days too. I think it's, that's what you kind of want in spring ball, is good, healthy back and forth. I'm pleased with where we're at. I think we're going to have a chance to be really good, and we've moved the ball well this spring. I think our passing game has taken some really good strides forward, which is kind of by necessity because it's tough to run the ball in spring ball when they can just tag you and you're down. So it's a good chance to work on your passing game, and I think we're taking strides.
Finally, in years past, you've moved your right tackle with experience over to be your left tackle, but it doesn't look like you're doing that this year with Andrew, with having brought on Pocky Finau. Is that accurate? And if so, why? What has Pocky shown you that he could do that position?
Pocky's a good athlete, and he's a left tackle, and just Gentry did a nice job at right last year for us, and so we're going to stick with Gentry at right, and been giving Pocky most of the reps with the ones at left. I expect him to be our starting left tackle, and he's done a good job this spring, and I would expect him to be there game one next fall.
Next question from Casey Lundquist.
Yeah, Coach, obviously there's no spring transfer window, but there are a few players still in the transfer portal. Are there any positions that you maybe need to add a body or two at this point?
I don't think so. I don't expect to. I never say never. Maybe there's somebody in the portal that we haven't considered or thought about yet that might, pique our interest or something. I'm not sure, but we don't have a plan to add anyone from the portal at this time.
Next question from Jake Hatch.
Aaron, you've had some tandems of tight ends that have been very, very good in your time at BYU. And I just wanted to have you compare what you've seen from Walker Lyons and Roger Saliapaga to some of those tandems.
Well, I can't believe we've talked this long and nobody asked about those guys yet, because that's two of the best players on our team, and they've shown it this spring. Those guys are good ball players. They're going to be a big part of our offense, and both of them have had a great spring. And we made it very clear to them before they came here that, it's not a competition between you two. It's a competition between all the skill players in our program to prove that you're indispensable, and then we'll figure out the personnel groupings. And so, the start of last season or 2 seasons ago, we were really deep at running back. So I don't know if you guys can remember back that far, but Folau, LJ, and Sione Moa. Those three guys were good football players, so we were doing everything we could to get those guys on the field. And not as dynamic at tight end that year. That year our tight ends were a little more run blockers, tough guys, and then we were pretty dynamic at receiver. This past year we were doing everything we could to get Carson Ryan involved with Chase and LJ out there and Parker, and we had different things. And now this spring, those two tight ends have really proven that they're two of our best players. So you're going to see those guys a lot. They're good blockers. They're excellent receivers. They're good teammates. They're tough. They both came from good programs where they know how to work. They know how to operate on a day-to-day basis like you're supposed to do it at a high level, and they've been great leaders. So very happy with both of them.
We've only seen this small smattering of practices. Has there been any other player or players, I guess in plural, that stood out to you that we may not have noticed on our end?
It's nice having Sione Moa back. Just what a good player he is. And he was really good 2 years ago, got off to a great start last year. Super serious injury he had. I know you guys have heard some about that, and he looks really good in practice, and I'm psyched to have him back. I don't know, I'll probably forget about somebody, but Legend Glasker's somebody who's really stood out this spring. I expect him to contribute this fall. And the fans haven't seen Kyler Casper yet either, but he's had a really good spring. He's a new guy that's had a great spring in addition to those two tight ends. So once I start doing this, then I walk away and I kick myself for forgetting about somebody. But those are some guys that maybe the fans haven't seen a lot of that you're going to see them play in the fall, and you're going to like what you see.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Yeah, Aaron, you talked about some of those offensive newcomers with Walker and Roger and Pocky. I wanted to also ask you about Junior Sia. Do you kind of see him competing with Safaricok and Mocassini when he gets back, and all those guys maybe at the guard spot? Like, what's your impressions of Junior Sia and maybe what he could possibly be this fall?
Yeah, he's been getting reps with the second unit. Big guy. He's big, man, and physical, just learning the offense. Probably too early for me to comment on how soon he's going to emerge or whatever, but he's going to be a good player here for sure, and lots of ability, and yeah, that's about as far as I would go right now, but we're really glad we have him.
They wanted to also follow up on the Bear conversation. I remember last year you were pretty open about how when Retzloff was the guy initially, it was 70% completion rate, 30 touchdowns. You'd like to see those statistical benchmarks. Is that similar for what you're hoping to see from Bear this year, or is there more nuance to that because you got LJ who, he's the offensive player of the year, just maybe some statistical benchmarks you're hoping for Bear this year?
Yeah, we don't make a lot of statistical goals. I think sometimes stats can be misleading. I think sometimes there's definitely a lot of coaches and players who kind of use stats to sell, to sell something that, or maybe hide some deficiencies or whatever. But, 70% completions, 30 touchdowns, single-digit interceptions. Those have been the years when we've been really great on offense. Zach did it. Jaron did it. When we've had our best years on offense, that's kind of been the mark, is we're right around that 70% completion range, 30 touchdown passes, and single-digit picks. If you're doing that and you have a solid run game and you're taking care of the football, you're going to score a lot of points. And so, we don't necessarily say that's our goal, but we do talk about sort of those benchmarks of what makes an elite offense, and it starts with taking care of the football. If we do that every week and we do it the way we've done it the last couple of years, then that gives you a chance every week. And now you start, hitting some of those marks where you're running the football well, throwing it efficiently, getting those explosive plays. That's where the points come, and so I do expect us to take a step forward. We were good on offense last year. I expect us to be better this year, and I'm going to be disappointed if we're not. So promise you, nobody out there has higher expectations than I do, and I'm expecting us to take a big step, and that starts with Bear. Bear had a great year last year, and we're expecting him to be even better this year.
All right. Do we have any other questions? All right. Our last question will be from Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Aaron, just real quick on the running back front, you mentioned Sione Moa. How many running backs are you comfortable playing? As many as it takes, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, running back is a position where you can play a lot of guys, and you can play guys by situation, but it's no secret. We're going to hand the ball to LJ 20 times a game next year, just like we did last year. And then it's up to those other guys to find their way in. So I think you'll see Sione in the game a good amount with LJ, where they're both on the field together. And then whenever LJ needs a break, Sione, if we had a game today, Sione would be our first option to go in there to spell LJ. So those guys are sort of 1A, 1B right now. And then it's up to, Devon has had a good spring. I think he's going to play for us this year. Preston Rex has improved. So there's, it just depends. Again, it comes with the skill positions. It just comes back to prove to us that you deserve to play. Prove to us that you do something that can help us win, and then it's up to us to find a way to use those guys in whatever personnel groupings we can come up with. That's where football gets fun. You come up with some creative personnel groupings, creative formations that make it hard for the defense to match up.
There's Aaron Roderick with the media. Let's take a break. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.